I'm Madelyn Blair, and this is Unlocked. On today's show, we'll be talking about friendships in the workplace and in our adult lives. It's going to be different, so hang in there. Aside from the holiday shows, this is the last programmed topic show for the fourth quarter of 2025. My objective had been to discuss a topic across 3 shows, one each month of the quarter, to allow a deeper exploration of the subject. I decided to schedule my shows programmatically to see if you, my friends, found it more useful. And if I hear from you, my audience, that this is the best thing since sliced bread, I'll do it again. Otherwise, I'll return to the simpler way of scheduling shows, which is when guests are available. I enjoyed exploring topics from different angles, but it was about 3 times the effort, which I will gladly give you if you express your opinion that it was indeed worth it all. Email me of your thoughts. Thank you. So let's talk about today's show, friendship and the workplace. I first have to say that the word friend has been corrupted by its use in social media. A social media friend is someone who likes what you do and wants to support you to do more by clicking the friend button or the subscribe button. This is not the kind of friend we'll be talking about today. Some people are very lucky. They meet people from grammar or elementary school, and they stay connected all the rest of their lives. I think that's miraculous. For me, although I remember people from my elementary school, some with fondness, I am not connected at all with any of them. And I'm in contact with only one of my high school friends. From college, absolutely none. Yet in my professional life, I am blessed with a very large number of friends. Some of them I haven't seen in 30 years, and we communicate perhaps once every 5 years. Yet, if I picked up the phone and asked for help, they would be willing to do what needed to be done. And then there are those who are close by and in my life all the time. Aside from my husband, who is my dearest friend, but that's a different story. I have 4 friends today. I could ask almost anything. And there would have been maybe 6, but 2 others of those kinds of friends are now dead and gone. But they're not forgotten, and they won't be. So today, I want to talk with my guests about what adult friendship is, how we build friendships among our colleagues, and why we must always seek friends. I have invited 2 guests today to enrich the perspectives. Both of them have been on the show before, so you will recognize them and their energy. And I warn you that the conversation has the potential to become a bit noisy. My first guest is Julia Larin, who was on before talking about unknown women of science. And yes, the show is still available here on E360 TV or on my YouTube channel, Madelyn Blair. And I think I'm going to bring Julia on while I'm talking about her. Hi, Julia.
Hello, Madelyn.
Let me say a little bit more about you. Julia was the president and owner of ThoughtLink Inc. in Vienna, Virginia, a Virginia-based, a VA-based. Now, is that Virginia or is that Veterans Administration-based?
No, it's Virginia. It's Virginia.
Okay.
Or Washington, D.C. area, it could be.
Yeah. A government contracting company that helped distributed teams. After 15 years, Julia took the company in a new direction, transitioning ThoughtLink to be a life coaching company for young adults. Today, Julia is busy with her new role as CEO of her own life. I love that. Where she's living the dream with her husband of almost 40 years and their 2 Labrador retrievers in Asheville, North Carolina. And you teach, don't you, a little bit?
Yeah, I teach a number of classes at UNC Asheville's College for Seniors.
College for Seniors. I love it. I love it. All right. And my next guest, my second guest, I should say, is Danielle Hughes. And I'm going to bring Danielle on too. There
Hello.
you are, Danielle.
Hi.
All right. Well, Danielle is currently Chief Personality Officer. I love that title at More Than Words Marketing, where she focuses on helping other individuals and companies write authentic content. This is backed up by her extensive experience in many other companies, particularly as a founder of Baby Fishmouth, love that title, project manager at Nickelodeon, writer at Catalyst, and board member of the Graphic Artists Guild. And yes, she was on Unlocked just last week talking about AI and the art of being real. Welcome back to both of you.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Good. Well, I've said we'll talk about what adult friendship is and how we've built friendships among our colleagues and why we must always seek friends. I think there's a lot of theory about friends, but today I want us to be very practical and talk about our experiences, unless we know some theory as well. Okay, if you know it well, that's fine. So, I also want to say that there are no men among us, and men tend to create friendships differently. And I'm sorry, but we're just going to explore it from a woman's perspective today. And from what I've observed, although they do it differently than women and young women entering into the workforce, may learn from our experiences, knowing that we have somehow found real friends without the sexual advances. And I want to tell you, that's a real trick. But you can do it. All right. So I'm going to begin with how we feel about friends in the workplace and friends as we make them as adults. So why don't I just open it to Julia? Let's start with you.
All right.
Talk to me about
first of all, thanks for having me on again, a second round. And I thought about it. I thought, Madelyn must trust me to have me on the show a second time. And I think trust is the key element here. That before you become friends, a first step is developing trust. And my company, ThoughtLink, explored trust on teams and how teams build trust. And I think once you have a trusting relationship, it can oftentimes lead to a friendship if you have, overlapping interests and connections and you make yourselves vulnerable to each other. And I was thinking about friends in the workplace because I met a woman when I worked at a government think tank called the Institute for Defense Analysis. And I had interviewed her and I thought she was smart and independent and a lot like me. And so she and I worked on a project together for DARPA. And from that, we started a company together, which was ThoughtLink. And so we, of course, became very good friends, had that company for 15 years. And it all started with meeting, having a feeling that we could be friends, trust, which led to the ultimate of starting a business together. So,
okay. Danielle, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think I always used to say that I was like a collector of people from like each of my experiences over my life and my career. And, I think you could see that negatively, like, oh, you're just kind of picking up people as you go along. But I think if you collect something, you tend to cherish the things that you collect. And there's something to be said about kind of cherishing the people that come into your lives at different times. And, there's the, for a reason or a season. But so many of the people that I am still close with today are from all of these different jobs that I've had over the years. And now in my own business, my clients are my friends, my collaborators are my friends. And I think to what Julia said about trust, that you can't build friendship without trust. Like, it is the most important thing in connecting with another person, is being able to trust them and be vulnerable with them. And I think it just becomes the foundation of everything. And if I look back on my career, I don't think I realized what I was doing, but it's like having that authentic relationship that you are building with people over time. And then now my whole business is built on being authentic and helping people be authentic. Friendship is that natural facet of that, if you will.
Yeah. Recently I read an article called it talked about orange peel people. It's by Mary Catherine Consazon. I hope I pronounced that right. Probably haven't, but that's all right. And it was published on Medium. And what she meant by an orange peel people are people who will, when they see you, recognize a need. And even if that need is to peel your oranges, they do
Mm.
it. And I loved it because it allowed me a simple way to think about the people that I work with and reach out to on a regular basis. And and would they peel oranges for me? And I thought to myself, my God, they would. If that's what was needed, that's what they would do. I won't ask them to do it, but that's all right.
You might need them to do that.
Right. I might. Hopefully, I won't ever have to.
If the arthritis gets too bad, yes.
Well, exactly. You never know.
That's right.
Well, yeah, I've heard that there's the kind of friends that you would call if you ever landed in prison, but then there's the kind of friends that's in the cell next to you. So those are the friends that get in trouble with you, as opposed to just the ones you'd seek for help. But I retired to Asheville, and a lot of people retire there. And there's a group called the Asheville Newcomers Club, of which I'm the president of. And there's 460 women in this club, and it's all a social club. It's about friendship. But one woman who moved from Atlanta, her kids said, "You can't move there. You don't have any friends in Asheville." They said, "How will you get to your colonoscopies?" And she goes, "I'll make friends." So, you need someone to peel the orange, someone to drive you to the colonoscopies. So,
Yeah,
all those kind of friends.
all those things.
And
Okay.
I wanted to add, Madelyn, that I am lucky enough to have 3 best friends from kindergarten. And we take a
Wow.
trip every year, and we stay very close in touch. So I'm
Right.
one of those people that has some friends of over 57 years.
Wow.
I'm totally jealous. Totally.
It's good to have people that have known you for that long. But as I was just telling Madelyn earlier, I have 3 new friends just since I landed in New York. So one was my seatmate on the plane with me. So I'm collecting friends just like you, Danielle.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of this came up, Madelyn. I think you reached out to me because I think I wrote an article about, because people are always saying it's so hard to make friends as an adult. And I just emphatically disagree. And I'm not trying to minimize anybody's actual experiences, but I think that's an easy excuse to have. But I think if you are a curious person, if you like to do things, if you put yourself out there, you can find people who are looking for friendship and connection as an adult. There's always people that want to find friendships and do things. And you have to be vulnerable and you have to be willing to take chances and all of that. But I think it's a myth that it's harder. I actually think the more you know yourself and the more comfortable you are with yourself, the easier it is. It's when you hold
Danielle, I am so glad you brought that up because I agree with you completely. When I think about those, I have no friendships left from my schooling time, which is generally when you make them all those friends.
Mm.
And I had great difficulty making friends. Today, I have no difficulty, and I think you're right. It's because I know who I am and I know what I bring, and maybe it's also that I know what to look for. That's another dimension. But actually, that may be a good question to ask. What attracts you to actually create a friendship?
Mm.
I love having friends. I think Danielle hit the nail on the head. I'm super curious. So I love learning about people. I love people that have different perspectives than mine because it makes me think in a different way. And I love conversing with people. I love laughing with people. And I study the science of happiness. Well, I teach a class on the science of happiness at UNC Asheville. And um, friendships are the number one link to both happiness and your health. Loneliness is like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day and being an alcoholic. And I laugh too because I have a friend in Asheville and she goes, "Oh, I'm no longer in the newcomers club because I have enough friends. Like there's some quota."
Yeah.
And I go, "I will never have enough
Enough
friends. I mean,
friends.
I'm just a more kind of gal. So like bring it on. Give me more. That's what I want." So
Yeah.
yeah, and just the comparison. I went on a trip with three women I've known for my whole life, and we had a great time. But then 2 weeks later, I went on a trip with 13 women I barely knew from this newcomers group, and we spent the weekend down on Bald Head Island. And I had so much. I had different types of fun with the new friends because we're still like almost in the courting stages, getting to know one another and sharing. But I just love all those facets. And I think it's important in a workplace, to have friends. And I think that is key to being a productive work environment. Not that you have to go out every night for a drink together, but
Well,
you have to like one another, I think.
that's not the measure to me.
Yeah.
Danielle, did you have something you wanted to add to
Yeah,
this?
I was thinking like what attracts you to somebody else. And sometimes I think it's ineffable, right? It's like a feeling, it's not like I, instantly can like look at someone or think, oh, this is someone that I'm going to become friends with. Or so sometimes it's like a vibrancy or a joy that someone has. Sometimes it is a shared hobby, passion, like you just see in that person a kindred spirit. Sometimes it's, oh God, they're so different than me, but in like an exciting way. But I think like if I look back through like all my friendships and like the ones that are even continuing to build today, it's like, who can I be myself with instantly? Right? Like there's almost like, there's always a little bit of a ramp up and a warm up phase, but like if you don't have to kind of hold back and you can just be yourself and feel like they will accept you for that, I think, everything can be built from there. Right? That's that foundation of just knowing that this is someone, even if you have nothing in common. Again, it goes back to the trust. Like, can I trust this person to be precious with me and who I am and be respectful and all of that?
Hmm. It's
Yeah.
interesting because when I tackled this question myself, I realized that one of the things that I look for definitely is authenticity. Right? Is the person presenting themselves? I mean, how can I connect with something if they're holding back or they have a big mask that they carry all the time or wear all the time? And the the other, and I hate to admit it, but if they're competent, it,
Me too.
yeah. Well, in the workplace, please, you cannot, you can. Well, you okay. I want to see if they're competent in what they do. All right,
No, I
it's
think
out there
that's
now. It's out there.
But, going back to how one builds trust in a friendship, I mean, part of it is talking, getting to know one another, sharing personal information. But what we found when we studied trust on teams is it was when teams broke bread together, when they actually ate and drank together. So, I was just joking about that you don't have to go out and get a drink, but when you spend quality time, not really focused on your work project, but again, sharing your personal life and what your interests are, and you do that while eating. I don't know if it goes back to the caveman days of us sitting around the communal fire and becoming friends that way, but I think that there is a strong link to people that become friends. And the types of teams we looked at for the US government was interagency teams, like the State Department getting along with the Defense Department or fire and police. And we really thought that a interagency softball league would be good because they'd meet each other out of the workplace. So doing things not work related can sometimes speed on that friendship.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have often done when I've worked with teams where we need to really get them connected They don't have to be friends, but they have to be connected and to be trustworthy for each other, is I have them literally tell stories from their personal life. Because that's what happens over a meal, is that you tell personal things. But when you have to orchestrate that, you ask them to tell stories. And you don't ask them to tell difficult stories. You ask them to tell easy stories. But those easy stories just sort of open the field, and then they start and share more. And it's amazing how quickly you can really build a coherent team that way. Danielle, I think you had a point you wanted to add.
Yeah, no, I was just, I mean, I agree. I feel it's so interesting. Like all of our work is sort of indirectly tied to this, like, team bonding or authenticity piece. And, when I work with my clients and we're working on, like, let's say their LinkedIn profile, and I always make them put like a fun fact or a hobby in their headline and somewhere in the body. And some people push back and they're like, why do I need to do that? That's not important. And I'm like, it's probably the most important thing, actually, because it's the only thing anyone's ever going to comment on. Nobody's going to comment about all your accomplishments and your metrics.
Yeah.
And that is not relatable or something that they can connect to. But if you are a yogi or you're a marathon runner or you love live music or whatever, and somebody sees that who shares that same thing, there's that instant trust, that instant, oh, this is my person, we can relate. And it just makes everything so much easier to foster that connection from there. And I think, we tend to think, oh, it's not professional and I can't include it. And I think that's what happens in the workplace too, is that people are so caught up in the work that they forget to connect as humans. And with, hybrid work and virtual work, it's even gotten worse because you're not forced to be in the office with people and have lunch and go to happy hours and do all the things that most of us grew up doing in the workplace, where you would let some steam off and, that's how you connect and you just share stories. And now, because everybody's just on Zoom and having meetings, when is there actual time to make friends and get to know the people you work with? It's so much harder. You have to be so much more intentional to even find the time to be able to do that.
True life story. Danielle was the person who convinced me to put a personal item in my LinkedIn profile. And I put in there that I'm a puzzle lover or puzzle enthusiast. And it has opened up conversations with people. And in fact, I even put it as a theme on my website because it really is a part of my life. It's the only thing. I was
going to say your unlocked logo looks like a puzzle in the background.
Yes, it is.
That's right.
So, as I've often said to people, it's the only thing that I can do for hours and hours and never get bored. It's putting a big jigsaw puzzle
That means you found your flow there, Madelyn.
Absolutely.
Puzzles,
but I'll tell you why. Because I don't.
For me, it's PowerPoint, which is really weird. But.
Oh God.
Well, in my case, it is because it is nonverbal. When you're doing a puzzle, it's nonverbal, and so I'm in a different place. Okay, enough
about meditative for you. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking now, like, let's say once you have a friend or you've shared this information, Danielle touched on this, but then it's the commitment to put in the time necessary to feed that friendship.
Yeah.
And the University of Kansas did a study, and I don't know exactly how they did it. They did it with students, but that to build a casual friend takes 40 to 60 hours, a regular friend 90 hours, and 200 plus hours for a close friend. But one of the things I do to stay in touch, especially with old friends or friends from previous jobs that I had, is I schedule a time to touch base with them throughout the year. I literally put it on the calendar. Call Jill, and I just touch base with them. I mean, I have like 7 friends I have monthly calls with, and we're distributed. We're all over. I don't get to see them very often. And following someone on social media is not enough. You need to, it's best to have face-to-face in person. But, if all you can deal is have a phone call, it just means a lot. So I had a friend who would call me every Friday just to say TGIF to me, and sadly she passed away. But now I talk to her husband every Friday. So I'm so used to talking to her. So I think of her every Friday because of that.
Yeah.
So Danielle, how do you keep up friends? How do you maintain and generate them?
It's interesting because I think effort is such a big piece of friendship, and it has to be both ways, right? You can't have, I'm sure most people where friendships have fallen by the wayside is because one person felt like they were always doing the heavy lifting of the friendship, and it has to be, in some balance. I think a lot of my friendships, I think, are so built on like our like legacy and bond that we can go years without talking. But then if I'm in a city and they live there and I reach out, it's like we just pick up where we left off. Texting, of course. I have to be better about the phone call thing. I'll texted a friend on her birthday a couple weeks ago and I was like, we have to catch up. And it's like, now I have to be like, I really have to call her. Like I do have to do that. But I know that even if I didn't, and I'm going to be where she lives, I could easily be like, I'm coming down, and she'd be like, come stay. Right. Like, so it's definitely a mix, but I'm very good about my friends that are local, and especially like from colleagues and coworkers and collaborators now, making a point to say, I'm going to this workspace. Do you want to come see me? Or let's go have lunch, or let's do drinks, or there's an event that I want to go to and I can invite them. So it's like trying to think about how you can include people in other ways that doesn't just feel like it's just a constant, we have to just keep connecting. It's like, what are the things that we can share together that keep us in each other's ecosystem, if you will?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, and it's extremely hard for me to do that. I can't tell you why. I'll have to think about why it's hard for me to have that many calls. But one of the things that I have very often done is if I do a lot of reading. So if I read an article, I say, oh, I have to send that to Ed, and it's not as personal, and yet it's very personal because it says, I've thought of you as I read this article, and
I love it when people do that. When they send me articles, or happiness is always in the news. So people are sending me links all the time, and latest research, and I think it means so much that they thought of you and spent the time to do that. And along those lines, one of my favorite things is connecting my friends with other friends that don't know each other. So, but that I know that, I have a friend that could really help this person with whatever they're trying to do. I mean, to me, that's magic when I can like make my network interconnect to create new friends. And I know I've created those connections and those people are now friends. And to me, that's like paying it forward or something. So.
And I think you've just unlocked, to put a little fine point on it, Madelyn. Like Julie, you just unlocked the whole thing, which is like people dread networking, but networking is just making friends and building those friendships so that you have the people that you can introduce to each other and connect to each other. And I think like if you kind of destigmatize it that way and say it's not just I'm doing something so I can move my own career forward or there's an end game, it's just building relationships, because then you have more people in your orbit that you can introduce to other people when they need help, and vice versa.
And that is a really strength with the LinkedIn technology. But I will tell you, I'm somewhat of a dinosaur. I kind of became the CEO of my own life like 15 years ago. So LinkedIn was really just getting started. So I get on there every once in a while, but I don't use it enough just because I'm just doing my own thing now, teaching and doing things. But I love it when I do hear from somebody on LinkedIn who's trying to like, hey, you have a friend that I know that, could help me do something, or I'm applying with Hewlett Packard and they are a high level Hewlett Packard person. So, I mean, I'm happy to help. I wish I had, been more active in it, which you guys both are way more active in it than I am. But yeah, it seems like a really good tool.
Mm-hmm. Well, aside from not knowing what to do or time, what obstacles get in the way of friendship?
Did you say what obstacles, Madelyn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I think I lost your word. I think time, right, has got to be the number one, like, legitimate excuse and non-legitimate excuse that people use, right? We just have all of our own lives and everybody's busy and you're like, bless you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm always a tour. I'm a tour as
I'm
well.
usually a oncer. Sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
But I think like everybody's got their own lives, like whether you've got children, spouses, partners, responsibilities, elder parents are taking care of, right? Like there's so much on everybody's plates nowadays. And so sometimes I could see that like this idea of like finding more friends feels like it's just another thing to add to the to-do list. And so to me, I think the time commitment or the alleged time commitment and like carving it out and then where do you go and how do you even start is probably the thing that holds most people back.
Right. I'd say proximity too. I mean, there's certain people that you worked with, you on a project, you saw them every day, they move away or you move away. You don't have that proximity anymore. But that's where you got to think to yourself, which ones of these relationships do I want to keep working at and put in that effort? And the ones that you do, you'll carve out time to stay in touch. I mean, I'm old fashioned enough that I still send out holiday letters and I write on my cards. I don't just have
Oh,
some service send them out. So, and I make sure to write like 2 or 3 personal things to the person on the card. And it takes me a long time to send out all my cards, but at least for that level of friends and those connections that maybe aren't day to day friends, I'm trying to keep that connection and put in the effort.
it's so funny. I have a friend from college. So, we've known each other for several decades, obviously. And she always sends out holiday cards. And over the years, those holiday cards have become New Year's cards, and they just get later and later every year. And it's become a joke between us that it will never be mailed on time. It'll never get sent on time. And every time I get her card, she writes something personal. Of like, she's like, I know you're already laughing because it's January 5th and here's my Christmas card or whatever. And I take a picture of it and I text her. And it's like, even if we just do that once a year, it's just become this one little thing. And I have such a like warm feeling about it because it is so funny and it's just so her. And like, one day I'm like, it's just going to be like a Groundhog Day card. Just like own it and like just pretend it's a completely different holiday. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, well, I do know somebody who sends Valentine's cards instead of holiday cards just because, and it's fun to get mail in February, nothing else going on. So,
Right.
but those are all little things like they really don't take too long. But again, I thought of you. Let me send you a text. I try to do that. Like if somebody just pops in my mind because I saw something, I'll take the 5 seconds it takes to write a text to the person and say, I saw this and just reminded me of the time we got a flat tire or whatever together. So, that's very meaningful and doesn't take that much time to do. But, I think too, micro connections is so important. I just want to talk about people that might never become a friend, like my Lyft driver last night here in New York. I really felt a connection with this guy, and we had the best conversation for about half an hour about life and meaningful things. And from my work on happiness, I know that like I got all those neurotransmitter chemicals. I got oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin, and so did he. And we had a great time. And I'll never see Jordy again, probably, but I felt like for that half hour, he was my best friend. So it was good. Made me happy.
And I want to say one other thing about maintenance. I have friends that I've had for 30 years. Also, it's probably some are older, but that's okay. 30 years, and we did something very significant together for maybe over a period of years. And I haven't talked with them for 5 years, and yet if I reach out to them, the connection is instantly done again, redone. Many of them are in Europe, so it's hard for me to talk about proximity. But it's there, and so it says to me as we're talking about the investment, because of the investment of time, I don't regret any of the investment of the time it took me to build that kind of relationship early on. So, with that in mind, I want to shift us in specifically into the workplace. Now, all of us encounter the difficulties of making friends in the workplace because it's so effective when you have friends working with you because they've usually got your back for you and they'll do things, etc. Um, talk about what your experiences have been in terms of how you have approached it, and I don't want us to forget how you have how you've developed friends with men, and it was just a friendship. It was not anything more. Who
I mean,
wants to start?
I had a work husband, right? Which is like, I know that like people talk about that. When I worked at Discovery Channel, he ended up becoming my boss, which was, it got weird later because of the hierarchy. But like, we were like best friends basically. Like, and like I was married, he was married, nothing ever, no, 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 no. But like, he was my work husband. Like, we just, I don't know, we just clicked, you know, and I don't know why I had to like, we had to clarify it that way, but I think there was like a nurturing quality to the way we both like treated each other. Um, and I thought it was like, it was really like special to have. Like, it was just like that person that you could just go and like talk to and, you know, like I said, like shoot the shit, if you will, and have that person confide in. Um, so I think it was, and I never really had that ever again with like another member of the opposite sex in work.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and again, I think when it's left just to work and work discussions, I think it's very hard to kind of develop a close friendship when you're just like project based. So when I think about the people that became friends of mine, we became friends because we had to travel a lot for our work. I had to come up to New York a lot. I had to go to Chicago a lot. So that meant that we weren't just working on the project. We were going out to eat and we were, you know, at a bar having a drink. I mean, and that's when you got to know about their families or their kids or whatever it was. And they started to share more. I think workplaces that promote sort of either lunchtime chats or other types of events that people can let their guard down and it's no longer, um, you know, that hierarchy thing. I was also thinking, I mean, I had a bunch of employees at my company, ThoughtLink, who now are all very, very close friends of mine. And I think it was kind of weird when I was their boss. But now that, you know, I'm no longer their boss, I mean, I've got a friend out in San Francisco and I stay with her every time I go out there and she's just a very good friend. So, I mean, it can happen.
the lunch thing is super interesting, as is the travel, Julia. Because same thing. When I worked in TV, we would travel multiple times a year, taking the upfront road show on the road. And same thing. You're in hotels with people. You're going to dinner. You're wining and dining. And I know, of course, there's so much time prepping presentations and rehearsing together and going over things. And there's a lot of late nights. And of course, you're commiserating. But like nobody used to like have lunch at their desk. Like everybody would go sit together and have lunch together. That was like our break during the day, and that's how you bonded and connected with people because you were sitting with them. And it wasn't like, let's go sit and then talk about work. It's no, we're going to go sit and talk about what did you watch last night, or the movie you saw, or the live show, or anything else that kind of came up. And some of this too is very age based because I was like in my 20s. And so, everybody in your 20s, right? Most people are not really attached, or they just got attached, and you're very social and you don't have you can just work late, and everything just becomes, work becomes like your friends, and friends becomes the work. And it definitely changes as you age up and have children or families, because then you want to go home to the people that you love. So it is kind of interesting how it evolves over time.
I'm curious. One of the things that I won't say what I do. I'll just ask you. Have you ever told a friend, that they are a very special friend to you? Have you ever expressed that directly?
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I tell my friends I love them.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean,
I
not
do
all
too.
of them, but most of the super close ones, of course.
The
Yeah.
friends I love, I do. Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, I did that one time, and and I got some very interesting responses. I mean, they weren't bad. They were. It was just so unexpected to them that I would express that I had real affection for
Aw.
them as a person, and so I was curious about your experiences.
Well, I think people are kind of funny that way. I talked to I have a book club friend and her husband. We were talking about, how many people do you think you love, like truly love? And he's like, only my wife. I don't love anyone. I was like, that is not true. You have to care about people. And he was so into, like, there's this romantic marriage love. That's it.
Mm.
And so, depending on who you tell that to, if they have a certain narrow focus of what love is, but I say share the love.
Sure, that's right.
I'm big on hugging. I mean, that's again another huge oxytocin release. Get a
That's
lot
right.
of hugs.
That's right.
I love it.
Okay. Now, if you had a young person that was working with you, or they approached you and said, listen, I just need to know how to really carefully and thoughtfully make friends. What do you advise?
I
I
mean,
would tell them to take the first step in sharing about themselves and being authentic and reaching out and trying to find a commonality of something they both liked, shared interest. Make time for them. Say, hey, let's have lunch. Let's have a drink. Again, it's not. It takes work, and it's not just gonna miraculously. You're gonna wake up and you're gonna have these 10 dear friends. I mean, you work at it, and I'd tell them it's not easy. You don't take a magic friend bullet pill. You work until you become friends.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I'm like bristling at the word careful because I'm like, I don't think you want to be careful with the relationship, but I don't think you want to be careful in your approach. That's how a friendship is, right? Like thoughtful, intentional, of course, right? Like what am I looking for in my life? Like maybe it's like where are the gaps? If you have like certain types of friends that you can do certain things with, and maybe you even have a partner and but you like to go see punk rock music and you don't have any punk rock friends, like how can you find somebody who loves that? And thinking about like where are those missing pieces. One of my closest friends now, who's only been a really close friend for the past like 7 years, she came to my book club. She was a guest, and we got talking. She mentioned that she runs a food meetup and she would do these dinners. And I was like, I need some friends who are like foodies. Like a lot of my friends are not fancy food people. And I was really starting to get much more into it. And she mentioned like doing an omakase, which I had never done at the time. And I said, will you take me to my first omakase? And that's kind of how our friendship started. And she'll joke that she was traumatized because it was like a timed dinner. It was like a 90-minute thing. And she's never been so panicked in her whole life that we wouldn't finish the meal. And it's been work, this friendship, but like there's so much about it that was worth investing in. And I think you have to figure out who are the people that are going to change you and like make you a better friend and like introduce you to maybe different sides of yourself. And she kind of pushed me to be much more thoughtful and nurturing and emotional and things that I am typically not. So it's been an interesting journey, the two of us. And now we're buying a house together. So there you go.
Nice. I
I
love that. And I love that. I think knowing about yourself, like I'm big on all the personality disc, Myers-Briggs. I know all those letters about myself. Enneagram. I'm a 7. But I do think that the more you know about yourself, the more you'll understand the other people and where they're coming from. I read the book Quiet because I am not an introvert, but I want to understand them more. And so, again, knowing about other people, I think knowing yourself, and somewhere we said confidence was a big thing with friendship. It does have to be a big thing because you are making yourself vulnerable, and so you have to. really be a friend of yourself first and then go out and make other friends.
I love that word confidence. I hadn't thought about that because my big thing is resilience. And confidence is actually related very much to resilience.
Sure.
Uh, and and the other aspect of resilience is that you have to have social support. So this friendship circle is what's going to give you social support as well. So I love how the factors that I saw of highly resilient people really seem to work together, always working
For
together.
sure.
Ah, fabulous. So are friends forever?
Not all of them.
No, yeah, I would say some of them, but probably less are forever than the ones that are forever, right? It's like a handful.
Yeah, there's just I don't know how many people are going to peel my orange.
Yes. Well, I spent a bit of time as I wrote that question. I said, okay, man, then you have to be ready to answer that. And there are four people in my life, not counting my husband, four people who I know they'll be friends forever, no question. But that's four out of
I might have a few
thousands of
more
people.
than that, but not that many more. Like maybe
Yeah,
9 or 10 people.
I was gonna say 5 to 10 feels like a sweet
The right
spot,
number.
and like
yeah,
it's a sliding scale of the core few that you're like my two best friends from high school, like ride or die, no matter what. Like I just know, and then I've got some of my like later in life friends that are just also very loyal. And I think we didn't even talk about loyalty, which is also probably one of the biggest things in friendship. Is like you
For
have to
sure.
be loyal to each other for sure.
yeah. Brene Brown has one of her characteristics, not characteristics, part. Yes, it is. She talks about braving when you're building trust. And there's a V in that. And the V stands for vault. I'm reading her book and I'm thinking, what is this vault business? Well, it turns out that one of the measures is if you tell your friend a secret, do they understand that it's their secret? It's still your secret, and you've just shared it with them. They're not to share it beyond that. And if they
Mm.
do share it beyond that, then you know that they're really not a friend. I thought that was just a very interesting measure. And it completely clarified in my mind the association that I had with one of my bosses in the past. That's why she was not trusted by anybody.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Since we're talking about that reliable loyalty thing, I mean, I am kind of a stickler for being on time and not being late or letting somebody know if you're going to be late. But I think you should treat people the way you want to be treated. And for me, people that are constantly late, I try to tell them that's going to be a deal breaker down the road. Maybe not for sending Christmas holiday cards. That's okay. But these people that your time isn't as important as theirs and they're running in 15, 20 minutes late all the time. Drives me crazy.
That's when you just start lying and telling them the wrong time that you're meeting. I have friends that I've done that. Like if it's like noon, I tell them 11:30. Like it's just, they're good enough friends and we've had the conversation. They're never going to change. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to now let you think
Have to
that this
lie.
is the
Don't
time.
let them ever know that you did it, or they'll figure it all out.
Yeah. But then you keep them guessing because you're like, am I telling you
Yeah.
the right time? Am I telling you the wrong time?
Run time. There you go. Okay, before we stop, because we're almost out of time, what's something about this we haven't considered yet?
I had something. Um,
I mean, I do wonder if like city versus non-city comes into play. Like living in an area where you have more access to opportunity, to events, to things versus a more like rural or even suburban area where it's harder to find groups or factions or events or activities that might be worth your time. Like, assuming and that's beyond the workplace, like especially if somebody's remote work and then there's nothing around them to even go out and do, how do you even begin So I don't know if that comes, like location comes into play, and maybe that's back to the proximity conversation.
I think that's a very interesting perspective because I do live in a rural area. And the only way I have developed friends here is that I had to go out to some event to connect with them because there not that many around. So I think that is a very important. We'll put that on the list of strategies for young people.
And one of the last closing remarks I would like to say is to tell people of all ages that it is worth the effort to your health and longevity and happiness. And, this Harvard men's study showed that social connections was the only thing that mattered, not diet, not exercise, not sleep, not whatever. It's all about your social connections. So for those people that have trouble with it or whatever, it's like, you make yourself go to the gym. You should make yourself find a friend because it's going to, in the end, be what pays off for your health and happiness.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say one more thing, and that is, Danielle, I think you are actually going to be doing some work to help people in this arena, or closely to it, because a lot of people are in flux in terms of jobs. And then I think it's January you're going to have a session.
Yeah, it's called the LinkedIn Profile Power Up, and it's for people who are looking for their next opportunity, whether you're pivoting, you were laid off, you're coming back to the workforce, and how do you update your LinkedIn so that it best reflects who you are, shows your personality, and hopefully connects you with the right environment and culture and company where you can be yourself so you can build those friendships and build your career from there.
That's awesome.
We can take all the things that we just talked about and apply.
Exactly.
Danielle and Julia, this has been a fabulous, noisy conversation. And I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madelyn. It's nice to meet you, Danielle. I feel like I have a new friend.
I know. I was like, we'll have to connect, but not on LinkedIn since that's not where you spend your time.
Well, I do follow up if someone reaches out. Yeah. I still check it.
Great. Well, I
Thanks,
knew that
Madelyn. I hope everyone has nice holidays.
Thank you.
Every now and then, there is something that changes how I think about the world. Grounds for Thought is a place where I talk about these moments so that you can explore the meaning for yourself.
When life changes, especially when it does so abruptly, we humans want to remain safe. My work on resilience showed several characteristics of the highly resilient person. Today, we're going to focus on only two. That research showed clearly that safety and comfort were really important to maintain. I found that knowing who you are is essential to have the fortitude to face the issue and decide the next step. But when the event is extreme, either in intensity or length, it's friends who have your back that allows you to actually take the next step. It's called social support in the literature. But here, we're going to explore only friendship. Human beings are designed to keep ourselves safe and comfortable and acknowledged. That's why little kids are happy so long as they feel safe with nobody taking their favorite toy, and better yet, when they know their mother or father are close at hand. They don't really care about acknowledgement because, hey, they're the center of their world already. Michelle Borba told us a lot about how to help children learn what a friend is and how to be a friend. Teens are happy and feel safe when nobody embarrasses them. They feel comfortable so long as they feel a part of a group. They feel acknowledged when others pay attention to them. Libby Kisner talked about the thousands of Dear Libby letters she received from teenagers who were looking for a way to be recognized. I deeply appreciated her strong advice to parents to begin with listening to what your teens say, to give them the attention that allows them to build their own capacity from within themselves. Adults feel safe when everyone follows the rules. They feel comfortable when they can trust those around them to have their back. Feeling acknowledged is when they are listened to. Julia Larin and Danielle Hughes, and me too, explored how we build not just networks of colleagues, but a phalanx of true friends around us. So when the rules are broken or bent or change, we still feel safe. Take a moment and think of friends in your own life. Those amazing people who will always answer the phone when you call, who will bend over backwards to fill a gap, put in a good word, or just say yes when you ask. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation and learned something new. And if you're on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe. It's really important for building a presence here so that those who are looking for this kind of information can find it. I'm Madelyn Blair, wishing you infinite possibilities as you unlock your resilient leader.